Hey Sainers, welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. Welcome to Saints TV Weekly. Another week, another Saints TV Weekly. And as always, as you saw, proudly caffeinated by Inglewood Coffee Roasters. There's a few big points to get through this week, so let's get straight into it. Today is the last day for the delisted free agency window. So right now, we haven't really been that active. Last Friday, I think it was, you would have seen that we actually did something. We traded picks with the Collingwood Football Club. Collingwood sent pick 55 to St Kilda, and we sent a future fourth back to Collingwood. So what that does now is that strengthens our hand. That leaves us now going into the draft with pick 9, pick 55, pick 62, 66, and 67 with bids for Machito Owens and obviously Windhager expected to come around the second round, hopefully. The 55, 62, 66, 67 particularly, they should all move about 5 to 10 spots. So we could get 55 in the 40s, 62 in the 50s, 66, 67 hopefully in the 50s, and that should be definitely enough to accumulate enough points to match bids on Owens and Windhager if they get to that second round. So Owens is the one that people think, a GWS or even a Melbourne are looking at as a later round selection in the first round, so around their picks 16, 17. A lot of people think that that's unlikely and he will fall to the second round. Windhager has got a much publicised injury at the moment, and that to me means that he should probably fall to us, and we should get him in the second, third round, hopefully, and that should be done. So really these points are for, I'd say more so for Owens than Windhager. But if we can land both of them in the draft, as well as getting a really good player at pick 9, I think then we've done a pretty good job. So we've traded picks 55 in and future fourth rounder to Collingwood. So just to continue on from big developments in terms of the board, we've been talking about that basically the last month on Saints TV Weekly, but we can kind of put that to bed now. We talked about last week that Jason Blake is very likely to be announced on the club's board next month. And the latest news is that the club has denied Larry Bang's pitch to join the club board, which is obviously well publicised and well endorsed by Grant Thomas. So that's kind of nipped in the bud. Apparently Larry Bang presented to them, and he mentioned that the club agreed with about 70 to 80% of what he presented, but they still opted out and would prefer someone like Jason Blake, who's a club man and someone that hopefully will bring a lot of passion to the board. That's where it's at now. So Jason Blake hopefully will join the board in the next month, and we can be done with all of this kind of board takeover discussions, unless of course Grant Thomas seeks to push this a bit more and see what happens there. But at this point in time, Jason Blake will join the board, Larry Bang won't, and Grant Thomas is a bit quiet at the moment. Some AFLW news now, and we're getting close to the start of that season, but just wanted to take some time to congratulate Hannah Priest, who's been appointed as the sole captain for the St Kilda AFLW team for season 2022. She was one of 4 co-captains last season, so for her to really get that responsibility from her teammates and from the coaches, that's a great endorsement of what she's all about. You may not know, but we'll be launching an AFLW podcast hopefully in the next week or two, and we did that last year and it was very well received. Matthew Marsh will be hosting that with Hannah Priest, the captain. So only on Saints TV you're going to get a weekly podcast for the AFLW with Marshy and Hannah Priest, who is now the sole captain of the St Kilda AFLW 2022 team. So congratulations to her. It's well deserved, and no doubt she will lead from the front and hopefully lead us to success in 2022 for the AFLW season. Membership updates. A lot of you guys have been asking me, Jake, what are we up to? How's it going? And I can tell you now, we're going pretty well. Right now, the current membership tally, I believe, is on 29,467. I have heard whispers that we did actually late last week hit over 30,000, which is incredible. We're not even in December yet, and we've hit 30,000, which is fantastic. That's around 6,000 more than the same time last year, and the projected total is to be 62,000, which is much more than the 55,000 we got in 2021, which was enough to break the record. So we're on track for another record membership season. So good on you, Sainers, for signing up. I know there's going to be some automatic renewals, but that's still a great achievement. A lot of clubs don't do that so early, and we've been one of the clubs in the last couple of years to have the highest recurring membership rate, but also the newest memberships, the new members that have joined. We've had a very high turnover of that as well. So good work there. Let's keep it going. If you're not a member yet, sign up. I know there's a lot of bullshit going around the club and a lot of disagreements with the future of the club and drafting and everything, but when push comes to shove and the boys run out on the footy field, we're all Saners. We're all going to be cheering and hoping for a win. So if you are one of those, definitely sign up. Even get one of the cheapest memberships and you're part of this and you're supporting the club. So good work, Saners. Keep it coming and let's break another record. And now for my favorite segment of the show, as always, the question time. Let's see what we've got. I'm going off the cuff this week, guys. I usually pre-select these, but I'm going a bit wild today. A bit unplanned, get a bit of authenticity about it. Let's have a look at Charlie. If you could take Gibcus, Mac Andrews, or Sin in the draft with our pick 9, who are you taking? Good question. They're all very good players. To me, I would pick Mac Andrew. I mean, he's an athletic freak. He can play. He would be a project player though, and I think that's the one downside to people wanting to get him is that you can't throw him in for round 1. His body's not ready for it. He would need 2 years, but I think the fact that we could go with someone like a Marshall Paddy this year, and then you've got Max Heath and Mac Andrew in the wings building up to be the next dual combination for our team, I think would be ridiculous. And then you've got a good ruck, and then you get the 2 academy boys, and you've got 2 good mids there. So you just need to be patient with him, and that's something that the AFL world's lost. It's lost a lot of patience over the years. We want players to be stars now. I know Saints fans out there would want a ready-made player, but for me, I would pick Mac Andrew. This one's from Josh. Would you like to see a bit more of Steele going forward? It really depends on how the midfield's going. Right now, we don't have the midfield to afford moving our best mid out of the midfield. For us, we need someone else to pick up the slack so that we can afford to rest him forward. But at this point, we don't. I think maybe Gresham coming back could mean that there could be spells. Gresh rests forward in the pocket, then Steele does, and vice versa. But at this point in time, I would prefer it that we do. But is the gain worth it? Do you know what I mean? Like, we might get a goal out of it, but we might also concede 4 goals because the opposition's getting clearance after clearance. So if we're on top in games, I think it'd be good to rest him forward and create more danger because he's great. He's great overhead mark, great set shot. He's got some good forward skills about him for a midfielder. But at this point in time, I think it's really dependent on how our midfield picks up in 2022. Kieran's asking, when will the Saints TV podcast come back? That is still kind of TBC. We're planning hopefully after the draft at some point when we've got a bit more to talk about. At this point, it's very much speculative, and we don't want it to become an AFL trade radio type thing where it's 2% facts and the rest is all bullshit. So we want to really deliver a really good product for you guys, and that means wait for the draft, maybe pre-season, and then hopefully leading into December, January would be good. I think last year we started more March, but depending on how things go this year, we might start earlier. But it hasn't been locked in yet. But it's great to know that everyone out there has enjoyed the podcast that much that you want us to continue it and get it started as soon as possible. So it will be back. We're just not sure yet. And last one from Ben. Who would you like to see us come up against in round 1? At home, obviously. I'd love a Saints Geelong round 1 game. I'd love to smash them in the first game. We were so close to beating them 2 times this year, and we should have. But I think starting off with a big game against a bogey team at home, where everyone probably thinks we're going to lose, I think is the perfect start. I don't want to start off beating a shit team. I want to start off the year with a big win against a contender, and really that sets the standard for the rest of the year. That's what I want, and it gets the monkey off the back early, and from there, then you build momentum for the rest of the year. So yeah, round 1 for me, I'd definitely pick a contender like a Geelong, a bogey team that we need to overcome. There you go, Sainers. That's the show. Nice, short, sharp, and to the point. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, as always, if you've enjoyed this video and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. There's going to be lots of videos coming out in the off season and definitely in the new year and through 2022 with the reviews, previews. There's going to be shows. It's going to be nuts. I'm going to be a very busy man, but all for the enjoyment of the viewers at home. So if you haven't subscribed, definitely do so. The next video hopefully will be out in the next week or so. It'll be in the lead up to the draft, and I'll talk about some of the draft prospects that we could get at pick 9 and maybe go into a bit more detail on the Academy boys. But until then, guys, as always, have a fantastic week and go you mighty Saners.